Being a nerd can sometimes be a little bit like being back in high school. Our fandoms have separated into cliques, and each clique thinks it's a little bit better than the other cliques. Today, let's discuss the social hierarchy of nerds and geeks and find out where we fall. That's today on State of the Multiverse. I have a real-world example of this topic. Back in May of 2013, there was actually not a full-out brawl, but there was an altercation between two fan groups. It was at a Star Wars club meeting where there were Star Wars actors who had actually done work on Doctor Who previously. So some Doctor Who fans went to go get autographs. Oh, no. And the police actually had to be called because the Star Wars fans got angry that the Doctor Who fans wanted the actors to sign Doctor Who things at the Star Wars event.
Yeah.
So this is real. This social hierarchy, I've experienced it through running conventions. I've seen other groups say, "Oh no, they're not as good a fandom as we have." Like,
come talk to us. We're way better than they are.
Right, exactly. So
don't talk to us.
Don't talk to us.
We're so much cooler than you.
So what kind of personal experiences have you guys had? Do you think that there is a social hierarchy of the nerd geek fandom?
Oh, there totally is. Totally is.
Where do you rate on the totem pole? Like up here, down here?
Where do I personally rate?
Yeah.
Like.
Wait, how tall is this totem pole?
I think I'm like, how high?
I think we're all pretty like high on that social.
I'd say like,
All right.
There?
Okay.
If it's this tall.
If it's this tall,
you're
like right around
the
here.
three animal heads from the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like one above me.
Well, I think it's really funny, like
That's like Will Wheaton.
The like social.
Will Wheaton's on top of you.
Moving on. On the topic.
No, we should talk more. No. Anyway, so no, I think it's really interesting that like the society, like what happens, the social aspects of like inside being in a fandom. Like I've grown to kind of hate certain fandoms, even though like I really love the thing. Like I really love Doctor Who, but sometimes I'm like, your fans are driving me like I don't really want to be like associated. Right. With that, and so like they kind of, even though I'm a big fan of that thing, like they rank lower on the hierarchy of like what I think is an appropriate like behavior for a fandom.
Fans make fandoms suck.
Yeah.
Sometimes true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, like you were talking, off camera earlier, you said gamers. Like you're a gamer.
I am a gamer.
You were like reluctant to even say you liked gamers.
I was saying that I didn't really like the gamer fandom, and a lot of that is because I'm a girl in the gaming world, and like playing online, like on multiplayer, especially on like Halo or Call of Duty, is a really scary experience. You get a lot of harassment on there.
I don't like talking.
Yeah,
if
I don't
playing.
I don't even use my microphone anymore.
I won't plug in a mic.
It's just so frustrating to be there because you kill someone and they're like, "What are you doing out of the kitchen? Make me a sandwich."
You're
like
cheating,
seriously, come up with a better insult.
Yeah.
I've heard that one about 50 million times before. It's just it's such a ridiculous world to be in, and people, like I say, like I like to play video games, and people don't want to know like what games I play. Like they don't care that I've played like all the Halos or something. They don't care about that. They're just like, "Oh well, you're probably not as good of a gamer as I am. Like here's my score. Here's my GEEK CRED." Like it's ridiculous.
Well, what's your gamer score?
It's 25,000 something.
Kidding.
It's not very impressive.
You have one though, which is more than
I'm pretty
enough.
sure
I was like, we're not. I'm assuming you're not a big video gamer.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
Like I have like the one video game that, and I don't even know if I would admit that I'll play a year, and it's definitely not like a Call of Duty.
Now you have to tell us. What is it? Tell us now.
I like Fable.
Yes, Fable's not bad.
Yes, Fable
And-
is awesome.
And I like the
1, 2, or 3.
I like the Oblivion games.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
As far as 1, 2, or
Sorry.
3 goes, well, like 3, I don't know what would happen with 3, but
That's what a lot of people say.
I kind of feel like gamers are a little bit outside, or at least on the outskirts of the gamer social or the geek social hierarchy, because it's kind of a mainstream thing now. Like a lot of people play video games. A lot of athletes play video games, but they're not necessarily interested in like comic books or superheroes or anything else that we might consider geeky.
Yeah.
So to me, it's kind of like on the outskirts.
It is kind of its own thing. It's as if it's its own totem pole.
its own totem pole.
Yeah. It has its own hierarchy among gamers, like games.
Different games.
It definitely
Like you even had like a moment where you're like, oh, I don't want to admit the game that I play, which is like a perfect example of the nerd geek hierarchy of like what we think is like, oh, is it bad to like this or is it good to like this?
well, I think it's just because like people who are really into video games are sort of like, that's not really a video game. Like it is really a video game. It's just not a first-person shooter video game.
See, because
like,
I don't play first-person shoot, not very much anyway. Like I'm a big Final Fantasy like RPG.
Yeah.
And you know, so my video game knowledge isn't super great. So I wouldn't, like, I don't consider that very, very geeky either. I think you're right. It's on the outlier. Like, I would say, like, the most geeky is probably the people, like, it's, what is the most geeky? What do you think is
I
the
don't
most,
know. I play
like,
Skyrim too, and I spent like an hour stacking cheese.
Yeah,
it's pretty nerdy.
I personally feel like, you know, if you play games excessively, like, I wouldn't just narrow it down to one title, but if you play a lot of games, like if you're just casually gaming, like there's a difference between casual and hardcore. Like if you're a hardcore gamer and that's like, you're always reading video game blogs, you're always playing video games, like in your off
you're
time,
watching like
you're playing
StarCraft videos on YouTube.
Exactly.
That's like the whole nerd hierarchy thing. I think what you were saying, like which ones are higher, which ones are lower. I think that's really hard to say, and it actually depends person to person.
It does.
And like she was saying you were saying not wanting to admit what your, even though it was just games, some people don't want to admit what their fandom are to like
other geeks,
nerds, because they don't want them to be like, oh really?
Yeah.
And just kind of snub their nose at them. Because, you know, like personally there's some things that I like I will admit, I read the first Twilight book. I loved it. I know, I loved it when I was in high school. Granted,
well, yeah,
I was a freshman when it came out, so
I was
now
20.
she's giving her age now.
Okay, anyway, yeah, no, I mean, like, Twilight's a whole other discussion, but like for certain, like, I think what like creates that hierarchy is kind of the obscurity of what you like. Like, I was thinking, you know, Doctor Who has now become like really, really big, especially after like BBC America. And it's lost this like special uniqueness.
Yeah,
well, it's good. It's good. It means we get more Doctor Who. But then, like, I really like Red Dwarf, and that's like a super not common sci-fi geeky.
It's an awesome,
common
sci-fi geeky thing.
So yeah, so like I'm gonna place that, and people who like that kind of higher on the nerd hierarchy, like, oh, you've heard of this obscure thing that at least obscure in America.
It's more exclusive, so we tend to take things that are more exclusive, and because it's exclusive, that means that it's better.
Okay, so that's how we define a hierarchy.
It's almost like the
exclusivity,
hipster,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
hipster version of the nerd world.
much
oh
as
god, I
none
was
of
so
us-
into that before you. Where nerds were the original hipsters.
Have you heard of that?
If you want to know the truth.
I think that a lot of the hierarchy stems from people being judgmental of other people's interests, though. Like, like I said, I ran a lot of conventions, and I noticed like a lot of the older sci-fi fans really looked down on anime fans. Like I don't know if they just thought like it because it's cartoons, like it's not serious, like it's not something that's interesting. They didn't really understand the fandom, but also something that a lot of fandoms look down on are furries. A lot of people think that furries are just kind of like the bottom of the totem pole of the social hierarchy.
Do I need to just do this at this point? Like,
no, I mean, like, I'm gonna say
no
this.
comment.
I think it's because like there's two levels. Like you can, because the exclusivity or the obscurity, you could be at the top or you could be at the bottom. You know, like and I can say that my opinion is completely like based off of the fact that it's alien to me. That it's something that like. In fact, it's so strange that it's frightening.
Cool.
No, it's not like I look at it and go like, because I don't want to be involved in it, that puts it at the bottom. Not if it was obscure and I wanted to be involved in it, it would be at the top.
Yeah, that is a good way to rate them as things that we don't want, that we aren't interested in. We automatically put those below things that we are interested in, even if like there's a huge fan base that follows it. It doesn't matter.
well, for me, it even goes beyond that. It's not just I'm not interested in it, but if it's counter to my personality, like the first-person shooters, like I'm not a very patient person, and I get really annoyed if like someone's like talking like over me or something. So I'm just like, forget it. Like it's annoying.
That's why
like,
I play Bioshock.
I would rather play by myself at this point.
I like to do stuff that I'm good at too. So like with the same like the first person shooters, like I'm not very good at them, and I probably never will because I won't take the time to learn something that I'm not good at.
So really quick, everyone, favorite fandom. What's the best?
Doctor Who.
Whedonverse,
Number one.
best fandom.
I'm gonna be really nerdy and say World of Darkness. And what about you, Kara?
I'm gonna say the top fandom is Kira.
I'm totally
Wow.
part of that.
I'm in it though.
So on that note, we are going to have to wrap up, but please do check us out and click below to like us. And what do you think? Tell us what your favorite fandom is and what's the best.